Hello, everybody, and welcome to Shore Encounters, or Close Encounters of the Shore kind, coming to you from my luxuriously appointed kitchen. I wish you were all here in the same room with me. Well, not necessarily in the kitchen with me, but you know what I mean, so that I could see your smiles and we could have a laugh together. But we'll be doing it soon, and we'll appreciate it all the more, won't we? Because if this has taught us anything, it's taught us how important real human connection is. So, without further ado, let's have a shore encounter.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to our online Shaw Encounters conversation. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to this conversation. And if you've joined us for other conversations, welcome back. It is really good to have you. My name is Suzanne Merriam, and my job at the Shaw Festival is I am the Senior Manager Education. And today I am going to be your online host. You know, as TC said in his introduction, these past few months, we've really come to learn that as humans, we have a deep-seated need to come together, to connect, and to gather. So we're really hoping these online conversations are a small way for us to continue to connect, to gather, and also to let you know just how much we really, really miss you. The Shaw Festival, we would like to acknowledge, is sitting on land that was once owned and inhabited by First Nations peoples. And we'd like to acknowledge those peoples. We'd like to acknowledge the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, the Mississauga, and the Neutral Nations. And we would like to thank them for stewarding the land with such respect. And we ourselves continue to do so today with the same attitude and respect. Well, our conversation today, you know the old saying, I wish I had $1 for every time. Well, I wish I had $1 for every time someone asks the Shaw Festival what we are doing to encourage more young people to attend theater. When I'm asked that question, I always quote Christopher Newton, Artistic Director Emeritus, who has also posed this same question and had this same concern during his 24 years tenure as Artistic Director. Christopher Newton would say, I have come to learn that people come to us when they are ready. And by that, he meant people come to live theater when they have the time and the means to do so. I further add, yes, that is very true. However, it is vitally important that people are introduced to live theater at a young age, so that when they do have the time and the means to do so, that theater is something that they consider attending and supporting. So this is where our teachers who are teaching arts education in our schools, as well as Shaw artist teachers, play a vital role. The Shaw Festival has many education outreach programs that are sponsored both by individual donors and supported by our corporate education partners. And we, in those programs, we partner Shaw artist teachers with students and teachers. So to help us learn more about the role of the artist teacher and its impact on teachers and students, allow me to introduce Travis Seetoo, Shaw Ensemble member and artist teacher, and Paul Borsc, head of music and the arts coordinator at Glendale Secondary School in Hamilton, Ontario. Welcome, Travis.
Well, thank you, Suzanne. Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Paul.
Hello, it's good to see you again. Thank you for having me back.
It's so lovely to have you both here, and I love how you magically appear a la some sort of Hogwartsy magic. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation as it is near and dear to my heart. So Travis, I'd like to begin with you. Can you describe your role as an artist teacher?
Well, my role as an artist teacher is sort of many faceted, but mainly what I'll do is sort of depending on the play that we're doing here at Shaw during any given season is, for example, we did Rope last year. So I would go into schools all over the Niagara region, or the students would come into our studios here, and I would run a 1 to 2 hour workshop where we would play games, we'd learn scenes, we would do, question and answer about what it's like to be an actor, or, anything that the kids can think of asking you. And you guys both know that kids can think of asking you all sorts of stuff. uh, and that sort of, and I go in and I facilitate those workshops and teach those students and answer any questions they might have about the Shaw or being an actor.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Paul, you and I have worked together for many years. I either send artist teachers to you, or you come to the Shaw with your students and participate in a full theater day immersion with tours and workshops and theater tickets and chats with actors. So Paul, from your perspective as a teacher of the arts, what value do you see in connecting artist teachers with students?
It's similar to what you mentioned, and both, Travis. It's that connection that the students get with actually seeing an artist. It's not sat in an audience. It's not watching them on a computer or on a screen. It's physically being in the proximity with the artist, which is an amazing thing for them. It's the reality that they can do this. And it's not just somewhere from a foreign country. It's someone who is local. And as well as that there is local art to be done. For a lot of our students, it's their first time walking into this type of a theater and seeing this production. And that could be a student local to our school, as well as a student who's a member of our Hamilton Wentworth District School Board School of the Arts, where they actually audition in for the different arts disciplines. Even those students who often have private lessons and backgrounds, this is a very unique and personal experience. And that's the great connection that we get from doing these workshops and seeing shows at the Shaw.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah. So I'm going back to you, Travis. As an ensemble member at the Shaw, you're one busy dude. You either rehearsing and performing in 2 shows, you are taking classes, you're auditioning for future work. You are busy. So why do you choose to take on also leading workshops and working with students?
I think I'm like a teacher. Like like in my blood. Like my mom's a teacher, and it's always something I've enjoyed is, teaching or tutoring. And when I was just starting my career, I got a really amazing opportunity to do a 2-week course with York University on being an artist educator in the classroom. And I had the most amazing teachers who really shared their secrets and their passion for educating, students through the arts, like in this exact manner in which I continue to do it as an artist, as a professional, not as a homeroom teacher or an arts teacher, as a professional actor, and the things that I can bring to a class. So I continue to do it because I love it, and I love teaching, and I love sharing my passion for theater with kids who sort of have their own, or oftentimes have their own passion for theater.
It's true. Thank you, Travis. Yeah, absolutely. So it's something that it's kind of in you and that you enjoy doing.
Yeah, and I think we're really well set up for it at the Shaw, and I think we're very well supported as artist teachers, and it's just for me, it's part of all that busyness is being a teacher at the Shaw, rehearsals and, teaching workshops when the shows go up to help introduce students to a show that they might not fully understand otherwise if I don't get in the classroom with them and sort of, or might not appreciate fully, explain the little things or show them the cool little tech tricks that we do that always make them excited. Like we had this rain window in Rope last year. It was just a 100-year-old theater trick. And when you show the kids how this window looks just like it's raining, it's amazing, the excitement. It makes me feel excited for theater as well.
Yeah, I agree. And it just ends up fostering them to be creative and come up with ideas as well.
Yeah, and it's like a positive energy feedback loop, eh? Like,
yeah, yeah, I totally agree. It's well said. Well said. Paul, something else that the Shaw Festival offers are Teachers' Days. So these are days in which teachers come to the Shaw Festival for professional development workshops. So you have attended these Teachers' Days and you've worked with many of our artists, our designers, our backstage technicians. So can you share with us, why do you participate? Why do you come to these sessions?
Because they're little pieces of goodness. It is such a great experience as a teacher coming into Shaw. You and your team treat us amazing when we come. And as a classically trained musician who coordinates an arts program and produces musical theater and teaches different aspects, for me, it's the professional development that I get. And who better to get it from than people who do this for a living and have a skill set which is so far beyond mine in all the different disciplines. Taking dance workshops at 40 years old and getting into routines, and going through and doing acting lessons, which I didn't do on when I was in high school. And as a French horn player and playing orchestrally, it's such a different experience. And for other people who come, it's a way for them to experiment, working with peers. It's just great personal development and professional development.
Thank you for saying that. And Paul, I love that you touched on the fact that it's interdisciplinary. So even though you are a music teacher, you're pulling in on other arts disciplines as well. And does that help you in your job?
Oh, for sure. As a coordinator, being able to speak and use jargon and understand what an artist from another discipline is doing. And in our program, and I think for all artists, we really expand upon our own individual art and bring the other disciplines in to make us more well-rounded and a better person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. So Travis, you told us a little bit about how you became an artist teacher. Can you share with us what your experiences are like when you go into a classroom? So you're not on site at the Shaw Festival, but we call that the Artist in the Classroom program. You are actually going into a school setting. Can you share with us the difference between what you're finding when you're on their home turf, as opposed to when they're in our rehearsal halls? Is there any difference then when you're leading workshops?
Well, I mean, it depends on the school. Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to sign in. It's very important to sign in.
Right.
But sometimes different classrooms are set up differently. I mean, every time they're all set up differently. So it's kind of a fun surprise when you get to the classroom and there are 45 desks and chairs and there's no room to make a circle to do theater games. So it really prompts a lot of thinking on your feet. And I find the students are very comfortable like in their own classrooms, which is nice. There is something special that happens when they actually come to our studios here, and they see like the mirrors and like the professional dance floor and like sort of the big studios we use here. But that's what was really great about the workshop program that I think we still do it, where we would go, they like all based around one play, and an artist in the classroom would go to their school and do a workshop there, introducing them to the play. And then they would do a second workshop on the day of the play they were coming to see at the Shaw. So they would do a workshop in their own classroom and then in our studios, so they could see the difference and they could experience what it's like for us to rehearse in our spaces.
Well said, Travis. Well said. And from our perspective, those types of programs, I don't know if you have ever had this experience, Paul and Travis, of being in a live theater experience and kind of not knowing what's going on and sort of feeling out of place. And so that's something we really want to avoid with young people coming to the Shaw. We want them to feel welcome. We don't want them to feel like they don't know what's going on or what's being said or what's this story about. Mm-hmm. So go ahead.
Oh yeah, and they get a building tour, which is really exciting because the Shaw is this massive complex, and they get to go see the costume shop, and they get to go see the paint shop, and they get to see the studios, they get to see our green room cafeteria, they get to see all sorts of behind the scenes things that are they're exciting for me, and I think they're really exciting to the students too. They can see our just little our call sheets,
Yeah.
things that the inner workings of a theater company, a big one. So
yeah, thank you for mentioning that, Travis. That's from a teacher's perspective. I know they're also very excited about that because different careers in the arts are introduced to students while they're on those tours. So teachers love that. So Paul, I have a two-parter question for you. We learned about Travis's background coming into becoming an artist teacher. What was your impetus for becoming a music teacher, an arts educator? And the second part is, what value do you see as an arts educator in the lives of our students and for them to becoming citizens in our society?
Well, myself, I think we had it mentioned, Travis mentioned it, and you a bit, with an artist, I think part of it is we want to give back or give. And then that often leads to teaching or mentoring. For me, as a student, I did a co-op placement. So I went into an elementary school when I was in high school and worked with a music teacher. And I happened to work with a young, dynamic teacher who made this seem like the best thing ever to do. I was an academic student, and at that point I was looking between sciences and continuing with my first passion, which was music. And once I did that co-op placement, I was at Western in the music program when I left school. Worked a bit professionally and still do a little bit now as a musician, but I knew right away that I was going to, where I would land was in education. And then once I was here working with other artists and getting involved in theater, we eventually got tasked, a group of us, to write the programming for an art school and for an arts program. And then for me, that again, not just a teacher, but a student, I was starting to learn about dance and drama and about theater and production. And I'm truly a lifelong learner, as are most artists and most teachers. And I think that carries through with the second part of your question, which is these skills that we use in the arts and this love of learning and expanding is something that we're hoping all students and all young people and even adults, the ability to relearn and learn new things to carry forward to be a better person and a good citizen in society. And the arts just intrinsically does that.
You said it so beautifully, Paul. I'm not even going to add on to that. That's so gorgeous. Thank you. And I totally concur. My last question to both of you, both Travis and Paul, is what do you see as the value in introducing young people to theater at a young age? So Travis, I'm going to start with you.
Don't make Paul go first.
Okay, Paul, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, you heard that answer. Don't make me start.
Thanks, Travis.
And whatever he says, I'll say I was going to say the same thing.
The younger you can introduce a student to any subject, it's like learning a language. They're sponges when they're younger. It gives them the chance to explore. They don't have preconceptions of things. And seeing a television show or something on a movie, but seeing it live when you're young is an amazing thing. It's not, there's, again, that connectivity. There's not the distance of a screen. It also gets rid of different or introductions to different cultures, different languages, different experiences, all done with the arts when they're young. When you're 20 and 30, it's education, it's my job, it's my relationship, it's building a family potentially. Quite honestly, sometimes I don't have the money to invest in the arts the way I want to, and then we're waiting until people to find their way back to the arts when they retire or when they're older and have more money. If they don't get that exposure when they're young, they might never truly know what they're missing. So beyond the cultural growth and just the good skill building of being in the arts when they're young, it's the possibility that they won't come back to it if they don't know what it is to begin with. That's why I think it's really important to get the students and younger people, regardless, involved in the arts.
Thank you. You touched on many points. Travis,
Oh, I agree.
do you want to add anything to that?
I mean, I can only speak to my own personal experience that when I was young, the arts changed my life. I got to go to see a performance of the Nutcracker, and that changed my whole trajectory. That changed everything. And wonder with all the students coming in here if any of them are going to be having similar life-defining moments in the theater. And speaking as someone who had one, I certainly know they're possible.
Thank you. Paul, oftentimes you send us amazing feedback that your students have shared with you about their experiences either at the Shaw, but mostly with an artist teacher. Does anything come to mind about an impact?
Oh, wow. There are so many because we've done so many with you. A couple that stick out, which are kind of different and is also, I think, the uniqueness of the programming you offer, is when we did or saw your production of Sweeney Todd and Dracula, were two, and it was the production side. It was production students who we take who are learning light and sound and helping with the stage tech. And those two shows were amazingly done and visually stunning. Watching the blood cannon, looking at the, oops, as my lights go off here, sorry. Looking at the projections that were in Dracula, for example. When we came back and dissected that and talked to the actors what it was like to be on stage with that type of a set, our show that year was Into the Woods. And sure enough, our set was partially digital and projected. And we had students who had been there, who had taken that knowledge and that excitement from seeing it in your show. And our visual artists and media artists got involved with the show. And all of a sudden we had some wonderful medieval backgrounds that went into the woods and moving backgrounds. And they took their artistry and put it into the show. So again, teaching the different aspects of the theater and what's involved. These students got to see it firsthand with you and working with artists, and then brought it back to their artwork and to our program. Just two great examples of that.
Amazing. They couldn't fit in a blood cannon into the woods. They couldn't get that in there?
Peter Pan, we shot off cannons based off of that. So ours were filled with smoke, and we had little plumes of smoke coming out of our cannons based on a very low-tech version of some of the stuff that we saw you guys use.
Yep. You give a student a little tool and away they go. Travis, I'm going to put you on the spot. Does anything come to mind for you leading a workshop with students? Anything that you remember?
Yeah, we did a really special workshop. You probably remember this, Suzanne, when we had the Ross McDonald School for the Visually Impaired come in last year and do a workshop for rope. So they were, a whole class of visually impaired students, sort of along the varying degrees of visual impairment, came in to do a workshop. And I sort of had run this workshop a lot, and I had to rethink it entirely about what we were going to do. And it was so much fun, and it was exciting, and it was engaging, and I learned so much from them. And I built them a fake little set for rope in the studio that they could explore. Yeah. And they brought me, they had been working on, like, we usually hand out scenes that they sort of work on, and I sent them the scenes ahead of time, and they printed them off in Braille, and they gave me a copy, and I still have it.
I remember, Travis, I remember how much that workshop impacted you. I think it impacted you more than the students.
I would say certainly.
Yeah, I know those students had an amazing time with you and learned a lot. But I think now that when you're telling me the story, I can see it really made a difference in your life.
Yeah, they were amazing. We had one girl, and I talked to them after the show as well. I stayed behind to chat with them in the audience. And this is the same show with the same rain window that most kids go crazy over. And this one girl, she raised her hand. She's like, "That rain window is amazing, and I can't really even see it." and it was so beautiful.
Yep. Amazing. So it's fascinating to me that as much as the artist teachers give to the students and teachers, they are also getting it back twofold. And Travis, your story just exemplified that beautifully. So before I let you both go, we just like to do a quick round of rapid fire questions. This is just a little bit of fun just to get to know you a little better. So I'm going to start with you, Travis. Summer or winter?
Summer.
Paul, tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Coffee.
Travis, what are you currently reading?
What am I currently reading? I'm reading a book that Tim Carroll actually gave me about the Beatles.
Oh, awesome. Paul, who is your hero?
Oof, my dad.
Travis, who makes you laugh?
My girlfriend, Emma Dirks, who's also in the wig department of the Shaw Festival.
Thank you. Paul, what is your greatest indulgence?
Watching Big Brother on TV.
This is also true confessions, rapid fire questions, and true confessions. Travis, where in the world would you most like to visit?
Hong Kong.
Paul, what did your 5-year-old self want to be when you grew up?
A veterinarian.
Nice. Travis, who has been the greatest influence on your career thus far?
Oh, gee, that's not fair. There's too many. Kyle Blair.
Oh, I love that. Kyle Blair is also an ensemble member at the Shaw Festival. Thank you. And Paul, if you were to die and come back as a person or a thing, what would that be?
A dog in a loving home.
Oh, yes, I agree. Thank you both so much for this conversation. You are both the perfect people to talk about the artists, teachers, and the impact on the students. Thank you so much. And thank you to you, our Shaw friends, our dear friends. We're missing you so much. Thank you for joining us. And keep watching your emails. There are going to be some more online encounter conversations. So we hope to see you again. And until then, please look after yourselves and be kind to each other. Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Paul. Missing you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.